Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we are featuring this gorgeous looking Sinn 103 ST. The 103 range I think is possibly Sinn's longest running model because I think it's been in their catalogue now for around about 55, 56 years. Placing it sort of like late 60s when you think Sinn, Helmut Sinn only formed a company in, I believe it was 61. So it's definitely got to be their longest running model to date. It started off though back then slightly different because they were using the Valjoux 72 movement. So the subdials were placed at the 3, 6 and 12 o'clock position. It wasn't really until the late 80s when we start seeing a position like we have on this model here. And it's got that kind of timeless look about it. It is, you know, it's just a classic looking chronograph. But before I get too far into this review, I've got to say a massive thank you to the team over at First Class Watches of Kenilworth. So many cool, interesting brands you don't always see at many of the other dealers. So if you're in the Midlands area, I'd strongly recommend popping into the shop to have a look. If you're a bit further afield, well, don't worry, I'll leave a link in the description and at the bottom of the page now. All I ask, if you do contact them, please mention the channel. So let's talk sizes. The actual case size of this watch, I'm measuring at 40mm, but the bezel size is 41mm. As you can see, it does protrude slightly over the case of a watch amp, meaning you can grip the bezel so much easier. It makes manipulating a lot more easier to do. The thickness of a watch, get ready for it. Let's break you in slowly on this one. The case thickness is 12mm. The overall thickness of the watch is 16mm because of this big 4mm crystal we have on top there, which simply looks fantastic. You've got a real good distortion on this one. It does look ever so good. You may ask why the crystal is so tall. Well, the simple fact is the hand stack on top of there. You need to be able to clear the actual hands themselves. I think I did a video once where I had one of these movements and had it on show, and I think I measured it around about 12mm alone. So before you get any kind of clearance at all. So that's why it is the thickness of what it actually is. The lug to lug on this watch is 47mm, and the straps, the bracelet size on this is coming in at 20mm. The dial is just, as I say, classic chronograph. It does look the part. I love the contrast between these white syringe hands and the actual dial itself. It is a printed on hour track going around here, as to the minute track on the edge there. But I say the syringe hands I think just look superb. There is also plenty of lume in these syringe hands. Not only the hour and minute, but also the second indicator of chrono. The actual subdial over here at the 9 o'clock position is for your constant running seconds of your normal timekeeping. Let me just move that hour hand out, the minute hand out the way so you can see a little bit more of that subdial. Unscrew the crown. This watch does feature 200 meters of water resistance to it. And you see, screws back in nicely there. If I start the chronograph, a very positive firm click to it, and then you see that second hand gliding around the track there. I do like you've got the day date window over here, which is framed. You just have a nice simple Sinn logo there and the automatic in Deutsch, which is always quite cool at the top there. I believe you can get this watch in either an English or a German actual date window. I believe this one is the English one. You got made in Germany down there. And you've got so what happens is, reading the chronograph, this will be the minutes for your chronograph, and that will be the hour totalizer for your chronograph. So that means that you can actually measure a whole 12 hours of timekeeping, actually elapsed time on this chronograph. So overall, it just looks superb, I think. I've got a real soft spot for a classic chrono. As you can see, as this goes over now, it's going to jump. Boom. And then the subdial behind it just jumps over nicely. Now, as we come past this, we're greeted, as I say, with this monumental kind of massive crystal on here. Now, this one is actually an acrylic, and that's why you get that really kind of, I kind of looked at it. Acrylic has a real unique look, especially on distortion, when you can see the sides there. You see how it distorts as it comes around. If you catch it in certain angles, it's just got a lovely warm kind of feel and look to it. Now, some people might complain, but obviously they prefer sapphire crystal, and I do completely understand where you're coming from there. It is an optional extra. You can have sapphire fitted if you want, but there's something about acrylic which always looks really good. Yes, I know you can actually damage the acrylic. If you're like if you take this water diving, you've got more chance of scratching this than you have of actually breaking an acrylic. And also, the other thing is, it's so simple to polish out any micro scratches which might actually happen on there. So that does make it easier. Also, worst case scenario, you do actually break an acrylic. It's a lot cheaper than replacing a sapphire. Now, past that, we've got this rather cool looking bezel. The bezel on here is all PVD treated on here. If I turn it, it's actually a friction bezel. So it can turn either way, because this is more a pilot's watch than a dive watch. And it's a proper count up bezel there. So it goes up as it goes round. And it has a loom pip at the top. Now, this bezel is a snap fit bezel. There's no actual screws going around here. So it is just a good old fashioned bezel. I do sometimes quite like this over a ratcheting system. As I say, there is zero back play on there. There's no ifs or buts if it's going to line up or not. It always will, obviously. Overall, it looks great. The case on this watch is actually the same as what you get on the 104. So it has lovely polished work. You've got these very nice beveled edges going on there. And coming round, you do get obviously the pushers and crown guard. And the crown is actually signed. What will be interesting, I happen to have a 103 myself. And this one is about 17 years old. And they are so very different. So this one features sapphire and a display case back. So it is actually 17 millimeters thick. And obviously we have a pusher guards on here. This one has the option for the AR. So it's kind of interesting seeing the two side by side like this. They are very, very different. Now, as we come round to the back of this one, we have a solid case back on there. So it is a very tidy kind of look to it. And then, I should point out really, the movement on the back of this, I did put it on a time grapher. I think it was coming out just around about plus 5.5 plus 6 seconds, give or take, roughly. So the movement is the newer Concepto 99001. It's based on the 7750 movement. The reason why they use this and not the 7750, which is actually in this more vintage model, dare I say, is the fact that you can't, a lot of companies now struggling to get in since ETA stopped supplying third-party companies. It's just getting harder and harder for them to get hold of it. So companies like Concepto now make this movement. I've got a Concepto movement in my Sinn 144, and I've had it now for a couple of years, and it has been flawless. I've had no problems with it at all. Timekeeping excellent. It's just a solid movement. We're talking a 25 joule movement with around about 48 hours plus of power reserve in there. And I say these watches do come with a 2-year warranty anyway. Let's have a look at the reset. And we go here. Snaps back really nice and solid. No problems with that at all. As we come to the bracelet on this watch, that is available in different options. You can go for a leather strap, you can go for the silicone straps, which is in make, or you can have the fine link bracelet as well. This has got the H-link with the polished center links. And as you can see, you do have Allen keys to actually remove the links on this model. And this one does come with their new clasp. So if I release this, twin button, as you can see, locks down nicely, and you do have an on-the-fly micro adjustment on there. I'm 50-50 on this one. Personally, I prefer the old model. Even on one of the watches which came with this, I've actually took it off and switched back to the older because I simply find it more comfortable, especially working at the bench. So overall, cracking looking watch. Let's do a quick wrist check, see what we're wearing. Quick zoom out. I'm wearing my gorgeous new U15, which my wife brought for me, which I'm over the moon with. But as I say, when I'm at work on the bench, I've switched over to this clasp because it's just simply more comfortable. When I'm working at the bench, I literally found the old clasp digs into my wrist a little bit too much because it is a lot thicker. So I do prefer this one myself, but I love this watch. And Bob has got one of the new little squales on there, so I thought I'd grab one of them for review because they do look quite interesting. My wrist size is 7¼ inches, which works out to about 18.5 centimeters. So if I put this on now, you can see you got, I reckon, probably 7½, 8-inch wrist. You can probably go to the actual extension piece on the back is retracted all the way, but that's it on my wrist. It's just a classic look. It's one of those, I think it is just a lovely looking chronograph. The retail price on one of these, I believe RIP is £2,300, but I say that's before any kind of discounts. There's always going to be a discount to be had, so, you know, always worth mentioning. So anyway, guys, I'm going to leave you to it that, but most importantly, you'll stay safe up there. Take care. Bye.